These videos were created for you to watch along. They'll teach you about client track so you know what's going on. So best of luck with all of your data. Now here's your HMIS system administrator.
In this training video, I'll be going over how to record a during program enrollment assessment as well as an annual assessment. These two types of assessments can be very important as they allow you to record the potential changes that a client might experience as they have an enrollment in your project. And some projects require an annual assessment. And so that's an assessment that's done once a year for people that are in your project for a year or more. And if you submit an APR and you've ran HUD data quality reports, you might have run into missing information in relation to annual assessments. So we're going to look at this client here. This is a client that has an enrollment on 6/1/16, and we see the last assessment completed was 6/1/16, which would have been the initial assessment done on intake. And then looking at today's date, we know, well, it's been over a year since this client's been in the project, and for training purposes, we're going to say that this is a project that requires an annual assessment. To do that, we're going to click the blue action button beside the enrollment here. We're going to click on Update/Annual Assessment. Here it's going to give us an overview of the initial project entry date we used. We probably wouldn't ever want to change this, but it just lists it here as a reference. So I'm going to go ahead and click No Changes on this. And here it's going to ask us, do we want to do a new assessment or update an existing assessment? This is where some users can get confused, and so I'll explain the differences between these two. New assessment is what you're going to want to pick if in fact you are recording new information for this client. Even though we have done an initial assessment when the client first came into the project, this is a new assessment we are doing because this is a new date that we're recording information for them. The only reason you'd ever want to do update existing would be if you've already done an annual assessment or during program enrollment assessment and you recorded some information incorrectly and needed to go update that. So this is more for data quality cleaning. So for most of the time you would just do new assessment. Next question here is during program enrollment or annual assessment. The differences between these two is during program enrollment is an assessment that can be done at any point after a client has an enrollment in your project. So for instance, if a client was enrolled in your project a month ago and they did not have employment when they came into your project, so they were assessed as not having that, but now they do and you want to record it, well, you could do a during program enrollment assessment and it would capture that information. And then in a month from now, if maybe they got a raise and you want to record that as well, you'd be able to go do another program enrollment and it's going to continue to track those changes that the client has. On the other hand, annual assessment is going to record that same information, but you're going to have to do it on within a certain time frame. So HUD says for projects that you have to do an annual assessment on, the annual assessment has to be either within 30 days before or 30 days after the client's anniversary into your project. So for this training, we're going to go ahead and click Annual Assessment and continue to record this. So something to note here, we said that you have a 30-day before or after the anniversary of the client's enrollment into your project. So we know this client was enrolled on 6/1/16. So going by that, we could do an assessment pretty much any day in June or pretty much any day in May, and it's going to fall within that total 60-day time frame. If we try to do an assessment outside of that, you're going to notice there's a warning up here, and it says the assessment date is outside of that 60-day window, and this may cause data quality and reporting errors. Now, this is a warning, not an error, so a warning will allow you to continue. If I hit save here, I would be able to continue on. However, know that if you are trying to do an annual assessment for compliance reporting purposes and you record one with the date range outside of that time window, it's probably not going to count for that. So we definitely want to make sure that this date is within the proper time frame. So I'm going to go correct that, and we'll choose the 13th, which is within 30 days of after the client's anniversary. Now, once you do get the warning up top, it will stay there. So you notice, even though I changed it to a different date, it still has this warning here. But just know that as long as you have changed it within the proper time frame, that you are still going to be good to go. And also, another potential warning you might get on this screen is if for whatever reason there was already an annual assessment you've done for this client and you're trying to do another one, it will give you a warning for that as well. And here we get into where it asks follow-up assessment questions. Basically, these are same assessments that were done when you initially enrolled them, and it's going to ask these again so you can see if any of these have changed within that year's time. So something that will save a lot of time is using the default last buttons that you'll find throughout this workflow. If I click that, it's going to pull in the information that was already recorded when the client was initially enrolled, but it gives you an opportunity to change this if in fact this information has changed. So if they did have health insurance now, I would change this. I want to go ahead and click save there, continue on. The next screen is going to be barriers. This would automatically pull in the barriers from the last time you assessed them. If this is changed, you would go ahead and make those changes here. Click save and close. Same way with domestic violence. Maybe this experience occurred, maybe it would probably be a later, longer ago now. We'll go ahead and save that. And then finally, income. And we'll use that default last assessment button as well. Here you can see we had recorded them as having earned income $550. Maybe they get $575 now, which would be an increase, and that's going to show that your project is helping people improve their income. And then also, if there's any other sources here that they get now, you would want to record that as well. And go ahead and click save and close, and you should see finish. And once you click finish, you can pretty much guarantee yourself that you have answered all those questions and not missed anything. And here we can see that the enroll date 6/1/16, but now the last assessment completed is 6/13/17. So we know that we did complete that annual assessment there. And now if we went to update annual assessment, when we get to this stage, if we went to update existing, it would show any annual assessments we've already done, such as the one we just completed, and that would allow you to edit it. But again, the only reason you want to do that is if some of that information was recorded incorrectly. So that is annual assessments and during program enrollment assessments. If you have any other questions or run into any hangups, as always, click the help icon up here and submit an issue on it.